Hi everyone, my name's Lexa and this is my channel, The Fruity Femme. Today's episode is called Now That's What I Call Gay, where I will be reviewing my choices of the top 20 gayest Taylor Swift songs. Believe it or not, it was actually extremely difficult to even pick 20 songs to go on this list. Originally, I had my list at 10, and I had to expand it to 20 because there were just so many songs that didn't make it into my top 10 that felt like a crime to leave off. I had to improvise. In order to make this ranking, I basically just went off of my own personal vibes and kind of weighed different factors in my mind, but not in a super scientific way. At some point, I might compare this rating to a different rating based on a more statistical analysis method where I rank each song in contention on various metrics that correlate with distinct aspects of the song's gayness, so like lyrics, lore, visuals, etc., and then compare the two. But for now, this is just vibes, and I'm sorry if your faves didn't make the list. I will say, even though this list is only 20, I do feel strongly about my top 10, so I'm going to go from bottom to top to leave the suspense of the top 10 for later. Okay, starting off with number 20, we have I Can See You, which was a vault track off of Speak Now Taylor's version released in summer, July 2023. I think that this is a very, very queer-coded song. And I think the only reason it's not up higher on my list is because it's new and it hasn't accumulated a lot of queer lore like a lot of the rest of the songs on this list have. It does have a music video. The music video is not explicitly queer-coded. It doesn't reflect the lyrics of the song at all, which, in my opinion, adds a little bit to the gayness level because it's like so not what the song is about. It kind of makes you wonder, why didn't you make a music video that matched with the kind of like illicit affair happening in this song? Interesting. But like I said, the lyrics are extremely queer coded. You don't think I can see ya, do ya? I've been watching you for ages and I spend my time trying not to feel it. Already off the bat, you have that kind of like taboo, secret desire that feels a little wrong. But what would you do if I went to touch you now? If they never found us out, continuing the theme of hidden romance. I think the theme of just being able to see someone ties in very well with the idea of queerness and queer flagging and seeing someone out in public or someone you don't know very well who you kind of like get a queer vibe from, acknowledging that you can see them and their queerness, which a lot of the rest of the world doesn't see, either because they aren't aware of it or because they refuse to see it side eye. There's also the line of I can see you in your suit and your necktie. Through a heteronormative lens, you might think, oh, this song's about a man. But since the song is so queer coded, I can see you in your suit and your necktie. So imagine that through the lens of queer coding, queer flagging when you dress, someone recognizing that in public as being a way to express your queerness. Like, I see you in your suit and necktie. Great song, and I hope it continues to age like gay wine. Next up, at number 19, we have Change, which was included on Taylor Swift's second studio album, Fearless. Now, not only are the lyrics on Change extremely queer-coded, which I'll get more into in a minute, but there's also some extremely interesting lore associated with this song that I learned from my friend Kristen at Under the Pink on TikTok. Taylor actually wrote Change right after or around the time when she had met and actually been collaborating a bit with Shelley Wright, who ended up being one of the first women in country music to ever come out. And it kind of tanked her career for about 10 years. She stopped being invited to events, and it really took a toll on everything that she had built. So I cooked up just a little timeline for you all so that we can make sure we have a clear picture of exactly the order of events here, or as close to that as we can get. In 2006, Taylor and Shelley Wright actually collaborated together and recorded an unreleased song called Thinkin' About You, which is extremely queer-coded. If you don't know some of the lyrics to it, let's just take a gander, shall we? So it's about having a crush on someone that is so disorienting to you that you start running into things. And then we get the chorus, which is, I can't walk straight, I can't talk straight, I can't think about anything but the way it should be and could be. Until you come around again, I will be doing what I usually do, thinking about you. So I think we can all agree. I can't walk straight, I can't talk straight, and I'm not straight is like how it should be. So that happened in 2006, right? Also in 2006, according to Shelley Wright's Wikipedia page, this was around the time that she started to really suffer an emotional collapse from being closeted in this industry for her entire career, and she nearly took her own life. Thank God she did not. In 2007, according to Shelley, that was when she decided that she wanted to come out, and she started preparing for that process. She prepared for about 3 years before she actually came out in 2010. And then what do you think happened in December 2007? If you guessed that's when Taylor Swift recorded Change, you would be correct. With all of that context in mind, let's just take a gander at the Change lyrics, shall we? You know it's all the same, another time and place, repeating history, and you're getting sick of it. But I believe in whatever you do, and I'll do anything to see it through, because these things will change. Can you feel it? Okay, I'm not gonna do that to you guys. I'm sorry. These walls that they put up to hold us back will fall down. It's a revolution. The time will come for us to finally win. I rest my case. All right, number 18 on my list is So It Goes off of Reputation, which in my opinion is Taylor Swift's gayest album, but I think we can all agree is at least one of her gayest albums. That album is a whole ass fruitcake. And So It Goes, we don't have a lot of lore associated with this song, probably because she doesn't sing it a lot because it's like, but the lyrics are extremely queer coded, and it has what I think is one of the most obvious references to gay girls that exists in Taylor Swift's music. Starting off with See You in the Dark. Okay, setting the scene. Darkness, secrets, hidden romance. She uses the gold cage imagery. She uses this imagery a lot, I think, in a way that represents being trapped, being closeted, not being able to freely express herself. But the golden imagery comes along with a particular muse, which many of us believe is Karlie Kloss. This muse is golden to her, but she's still caged in how she's able to express her affection for the muse. Love the line, lipstick on your face. My sister actually pointed this out because it could go either way. Like, it could be talking obviously about Taylor Swift kissing this muse's face and transferring her lipstick to their face, but it could also be talking about someone who wears lipstick, someone whose lips are maroon perchance. Now we get to the line that Taylor Swift wrote for the gay girlies, for the Saphics, and you can never convince me otherwise. Wear you like a necklace.
Gay!
Right, so wear you like a necklace, imagine you're wearing your girly wearing another girly around your neck, like,
Oh my God!
They're like on your face area. Got it? And I can't explain it to you more if you don't get that. I don't know. Ask a friend. Sorry. Next up, coming in at number 17, we have Wonderland, another song where Taylor Swift romanticizes the relationship being doomed from the start. In this song, the scene is set as kind of like a dangerous relationship that Taylor and the muse are rushing into, and it's kind of like this excitement and danger is ahead, but you don't care right now because you're in Wonderland. Before talking about specific lyrics, I must mention all of the obvious Alice in Wonderland references. I mean, the song is literally called Wonderland, and she starts the song by talking about falling down the rabbit hole. And who do we know that was associated with Taylor Swift and obsessed with Alice in Wonderland? Can we think of anyone? Think real hard. Yeah. And that person also later got a tattoo removed. An Alice in Wonderland tattoo, you say? Okay.
Bruh.
That's none of my business. Anyway, we have some serious queer-coded lyrics in here. We've got Curious Minds. Hello. Does it get queerer than that? New and exciting. I mean, any relationship can be new and exciting, but with the amount of times that Taylor Swift emphasizes things being new and exciting and uncharted territories, might be that there's another theme underlying the most obvious interpretation, right? One of the doozies, and actually connects to that song that Taylor Swift wrote with Shelley Wright, the line, "Too in love to think straight." Maybe almost like because she's not straight, yet again. And then, of course, the green eyes and Cheshire Cat smile imagery. I mean, let's just show a few pics of, Alice in Wonderland girl. Up next, number 16, we have one of my top songs from Midnight's, Paris. I would be remiss if I did not start off the discussion of Paris by talking about the other person that Taylor Swift knows, lady that Taylor Swift knows, who has over and over and over again referenced her love of Paris. She even had a Project Runway episode where the challenge was to design her like a Paris themed outfit. Anyway, moving on. This is another song where we get the instant theme of secret, private love, privacy sign on the door and on the whole world. No one has to know about their love. Romance is not dead if you keep it just yours. It's a secret. The line about mess is made just alludes to the fact that, again, this is a relationship with struggles. This is not a relationship that has been easy. And it's been one where the two have had to overcome strife together. The line about sitting in the shade, but not the kind that's thrown, the kind under where a tree has grown, is a very, very interesting line. There's a lot to unpack here. First of all, obviously the reference to shade makes me instantly think of shade never made anybody less gay, and people who need to calm down when they're shading queer people for being queer. And in this song, Taylor Swift makes sure to mention it's not the kind that's thrown. So it's not the kind where people are telling us to be less gay, but it's the kind under where a tree is grown, which of course Taylor Swift's publicist is famously named Tree Payne. And I like to think of this line as Tree protecting this relationship from the scrutiny of the public eye and protecting it from shady people who would throw shade at them for being queer. I have to mention the reference to cheap wine, which makes me think of another time that cheap wine was referenced on this album. Connections. Then, of course, when we get to the bridge of this song, that's where the hearty queer meat lies. I want to transport you to somewhere the culture's clever, like Paris. Why would she want to do that? Why does she need a more clever culture? Maybe it's because the culture that they exist in does not allow their love to be public without scrutiny and shade being thrown at it. Something to think about. Clever culture, more accepting, and also, historically, Paris has been a point of congregation for queer people to exist in a city of maybe just like a slightly less hostile environment for them, where they were able to join together in community and express their queerness just a little bit more openly without, worrying as much about being hate crimed, although that was probably always on the horizon. And finally, the gay AF line, confess my truth, in swooping, sloping, cursive letters. What the is the straight explanation for that? My truth? That makes it sound so much bigger than just, I love you. Like, it's your, like, truth. Like, your intrinsic truth. Like, about something intrinsic to you. Like, your queerness. Not just your truth about how you feel about someone else. The gravity of that line sits that way for me. And then the swooping, sloping, cursive letters just makes me think of Lover and how that album was so gay. All right, we're finally all the way to song number 15. This is one of my old favorites. I loved it for the angst, even when I was still brainwashed by Compet. And that song is Treacherous from Red. This song, I think, besides Change, is one of the earliest Taylor Swift songs with some of the most queer-coded imagery and theme. I know I sound like a broken record at this point, but this is another song where there are themes of taboo, kind of like forbidden romance, and a road that isn't paved for you, that you have to pave yourself, that is full of danger and doomed to fail. She starts the song by saying, "Put your lips close to mine as long as they don't touch." So, like, they want to touch, but there's some reason why they shouldn't. It's like there's a force keeping them apart from each other, just as there's a force of gravity pulling them into each other. Like I said, the whole song is about a relationship doomed to fail, forbidden touch, and she even mentions your friction. So, the opposite of what she's been experiencing, which is going with the flow. You're the opposite of that. Something that goes against the grain of society. One of my favorite lines that she's ever written: "Nothing safe is worth the drive." Again, she's leaning into romanticizing the danger and the excitement that she gets from this thing that isn't certain. She has hopes and daydreams that she says she knows are treacherous and dangerous, but she still can't help having them. For song number 14, I have chosen one of my other favorites from Midnight, Glitch. This song is sung in the very, like, kind of high, sultry, sapphic register that I feel like Taylor Swift uses in a lot of her sapphic, sultry songs. If you know, you know. This is, I believe, our first, somehow, of the many Friends to Lovers songs that Taylor has in her discography. So, like, in addition to the secret romance and doomed to fail romanticization and privacy, we also have lots of themes of friends to lovers. And it's like, this is why when you start to add them all up, you can't examine them in isolation. When you start to add all the factors up, the equation is giving out flaming homo. She starts right off the bat with it in Glitch. She says, "Make no mistake, this is what the song's about. We were supposed to be just friends." But obviously they did not end up remaining just friends. "You don't live in my part of town, but maybe I'll see you out some weekend, depending on what kind of mood or situationship I'm in." This lyric, I mean, it could very much give the cycling. It could very much give not someone who was supposed to always be like dating some man exclusively. This is a girly who has situationships. That's interesting. Okay. Then she goes on to say, "What's in my system? Glitch." So it's like there's this unexpected departure from the norm that she's been experiencing. It's a glitch. It's, not what's normally happening. It's not expected. It's a brief interruption, a slight malfunction. Whereas before, her norm is wanting dudes who give nothing. That line to me, it seems to be talking more about men as a whole than just certain dudes who give nothing. Because, like, most men collectively are giving nothing. Let's be honest with ourselves here. Not a lot of dudes give a lot. She finishes off the bridge with, "I thought we had no chance. Let's dance." Again, right back to that romanticizing doomed/forbidden love. And the "let's dance" line makes me instantly think of Dancing with Their Hands Tied, which we're going to get back to at some point higher up on this list. Finally, there's the blood moon reference in this song, which makes the whole song very astrology coded, which makes it very queer coded. At lucky number 13, we have a real banger of a queer anthem. That would be New Romantics, which was a bonus track from 1989. It starts off with, "We're all bored. We're all so tired of everything." I mean, that's how I felt before I started dating women. We show off our different scarlet letters, the theme of taboo, the theme of doing things that are seen as bad, but you're kind of proud of it. Trust me, mine is better. What's a scarlet letter that someone would want to show off? One of the LGBTQ letters? Maybe? Yeah, I'm bored of dudes who give nothing too. We've been bored. We're on the road to ruin, not expecting things to end up well for you. We play dumb, but we know exactly what we're doing. This line always gets me. It's like Taylor Swift's not stupid. She knows she's dropping a bajillion queer references. She knows she's queer flagging. She knows what message she's sending, and she knows exactly what she's doing. Because, baby, I could build a castle out of all the bricks they threw at me. Many people have likened that to a reference to throwing bricks at Stonewall. And just the whole, like, title and theme of New Romantics. It's like, it's a departure from the old way of viewing romance and romantics. The new romantics, they're changing the way that they experience love and romance, and they're redefining themselves in a world that they don't fit into. The best people in life are free from the constraints that society puts on us, that heteronormative patriarchal society tries to put on us to keep us locked down. And finally, the classic line, switch sides like a record changer. What sides? What do you mean, Blondie? Elaborate, please. Okay, song number 12 is Ivy from Evermore. If you don't know, Ivy was actually used in a gay, spicy scene in the TV series based off of Emily Dickinson's life. And Emily Dickinson was a big old gay. So that's gay. And obviously Taylor Swift had to approve that. And the thing is, the reason I think that they sought out that song to be in that scene and in that show in particular is because the whole album, and especially that song, is very Emily Dickinson coded on purpose. The line Evermore, first of all, comes from the end of an Emily Dickinson poem that she wrote to her lover, Susan, and she signs it forevermore, like she will love her lover forevermore, to title an entire album off of that word, and then to release that album on Emily Dickinson's birthday, when Taylor Swift's own birthday was 2 days later. Might I add, Taylor Swift chose to release it on December 11th when December 13th was right there. And Taylor Swift also referenced Emily Dickinson's birth year, 1830, when she was talking about what inspired the cover art for this album. There's themes of angst and forbidden love out the wazoo. Oh, goddamn, my pain fits in the palm of your freezing hand, taking mine, but it's been promised to another. Each person is not able to be with the one they truly want to be with, feeling trapped in her relationship with this man and fearing for their lives if he ever found out about their affair. The setting and the scene is very, like Taylor Swift said, very much like if they were in the 1830s. Queerness was even more deeply forbidden than it is now. The imagery that she weaves into this song only adds to that interpretation of it, I think. Number 11, if it wasn't so het-splained by Taylor, not that I even think this is a het-splanation, and I'll get into why in a second, but it is accepted by most of the fandom that A, this song is fictional, and B, it's from the point of view of a 17-year-old boy named James. And yes, I'm obviously talking about Betty. If she didn't explain it every night on the tour, like, this song is from the perspective of a 17-year-old teenage boy named James. And if her fandom didn't so vehemently reinforce that narrative every time you tried to suggest otherwise, this song would absolutely be in the top 10 because it's just Sapphic. She's a woman singing to a woman. I don't care if she's pretending to be a 17-year-old boy. Like, the spirit of a 17-year-old boy is not possessing her body. She's still Taylor Swift when she wrote that song and when she sings it every night to a girl. The girl's name is the song. Does it get more Sapphic than that? I digress. Do I even need to get into the fact that Taylor Swift was named after James Taylor? So when she says that it's from the perspective of a 17-year-old boy named James, she's obviously like referencing herself. And that's pretty much all that needs to be said about Betty, because if you erase the like whole idea that this song is from a man's point of view, it's extremely Sapphic. It's actually still Sapphic being from a man's point of view, because Taylor Swift gender bends a lot like that in her songs, and that in itself is an inherently queer thing to do because it's a really, really easy and convenient way to write queer songs while having like a very easy scapegoat on the surface as to why the song isn't queer. But if you know, you know. All right. Whew, I know I talk a lot, but we're finally to my top 10. Now that's what I call gay Taylor Swift songs. Like I said at the beginning, I feel passionately about this top 10 list, so please don't insult me. But you may have kind discourse in the comments. Number 10 on the list is one of my personal all-time faves, False God from Lover. Now, False God has both lots of queer coding in the lyrics, as well as one of the absolute gayest performances Taylor Swift has ever given in 2019 during Saturday Night Live. Anyway, This song, I think, represents a more mature evolution, a more evolved state of a relationship that still is held back by those same themes of doomed to fail, not being accepted by society, and still being incredibly drawn to each other despite the context that Taylor knows will lead to heartbreak. She starts off right away setting that scene. We were crazy to think that this could work. Remember how I said I'd die for you? So, like, she's kind of reminiscing on that romanticism that she's talked about in the past, being willing to give everything to sacrifice for this relationship because that's what they have to do. Now she's talking about how that was almost foolish of them to think that that blind faith could actually take them somewhere. But even in this song, she still believes in it, even as she's almost like scoffing at a younger, more naive version of her and the Muse who thought that this would be possible. We were stupid to jump in the ocean separating us. Remember how I'd fly to you. So again, they are drawn to each other by gravity, but there's still an ocean between them, making it so that it's impossible for them to fully be together. They all warned us about times like this. They say the road gets hard and you get lost when you're led again by blind faith. Blind faith. That is the theme of this song. But still, we might just get away with it. After she said all of that, after she talked about how stupid it was for them to believe in this doomed relationship, she still believes in it. Like, despite all of her... No, I'm literally going feral over this song. She still believes in this doomed relationship, even as she spends the first 3 verses talking about how stupid it was to believe in this doomed relationship. She says, we might still get away with it though. I cannot give up the hope. I can't fully let go of the hope. It's still there. Even if it's a false god, even if it's something that we know isn't accepted by the majority of society as the truth, the reason, and the way that things should be. Even though we know that, we still worship this love. Okay, coming in at number 9, another one of my personal faves. And this might be actually a theme for every single song up till number 1. Yeah. Is it a surprise that the gayest songs are also some of the ones I go the most feral for? No, absolutely not. But it does make me very excited to talk about them. Number 9 is The Archer. This song has, I think, become ingrained so deeply into Gaylor culture and what it means to see Taylor Swift through a Gaylor lens. Cruelty wins in the movies. I've got 100 thrown out speeches I almost said to you. That theme of wanting to speak your truth, but being too afraid to. At this point in her career, she was too afraid. She threw them out. She threw those speeches out. I jump from the train. I ride off alone. I never grow up. It's getting so old. She's being very... This is another one of Taylor's very self-hatred-y songs, which is another reason why I love it. I cut off my nose just to spite my face and hate my reflection for years and years. More of that self-flagellation and almost self-sabotage that seems to haunt her through all of these relationships that are doomed to fail from the start. And all of my heroes die all alone. Now this line hits different in the same song where she says, all of the king's horses, all the king's men couldn't put me back together again, which is, I know it's a reference to Humpty Dumpty, okay? I swear to God, please no one comment that. Like, I know it's Humpty Dumpty, but I don't think it's crazy for me to say that it could also be referencing another extremely relevant artist who came out as queer and it tanked her career. And after that, she made an album called literally Reputation. That was like her comeback album into the industry. Yeah, I don't think that's a stretch. I think it's actually maybe more of a stretch to say that Taylor Swift just loves Humpty Dumpty. That's gonna be cut, so... Anyway, all my heroes die all alone. Who, throughout history, has died alone because they haven't been able to be with the ones that they love? Can we think of a group of people that has been maligned in society and forced to isolate themselves and not be able to be openly with the ones that they love. All of her heroes that she references in her songs. She references so many queer people in her songs, and those are the ones that die all alone. Then, of course, the bridge, because they see right through me. They see right through me. What's there to see through? Like, she's talking about putting up a facade of her that isn't a true, accurate portrayal of who she is. And being afraid that people can see through that, to see that she's representing herself inauthentically in some way. Then she asks, can you see right through me, the reader? And then she says, I see right through me, acknowledging that what they see through to at her core is true, and that she is putting up a facade to herself in some way. The end, I love where she asks who could stay. She's finishing off this like self-flagellating masochistic song, and she asks who could stay, and she finally says you could stay. And I love in the Eras Tour where she points at the crowd and says you could stay, because like, yeah, we're staying for you, and I'm here for you. I'm here for you. Okay, moving on to number 8. We have Out of the Woods from 1989. This song is very highly regarded in the canon of Gaylor lore as being one of Taylor's first, most explicit and often referenced closeting songs in her discography. The woods being like the closet, or the woods being like a society that's not safe for queer people. You're in the woods. There's monsters. There's people that are hunting you, tying to I know places. They were the hunters, we were the foxes. Wondering if it's safe to be out of the woods, if they're in the clear yet, if they're in the queer yet. There's the obvious line, the rest of the world was black and white, but we were in screaming color. Interesting imagery that she chooses there. We know how important color theory is to Taylor Swift. If you're experiencing a relationship for the first time that is in a completely like other reality of vibrancy and color, and just like everything is different, it's a complete shift in perspective. That sounds a lot like Queer Awakening to me. And I mean, the fact that it's screaming color when, you know what else is a screaming color? Rainbows, obviously. Coming in at number 7, we have 7 from Folklore. This song, not only was it queer when it came out and had incredibly queer-coded lyrics, the lore surrounding it and its presentation by Taylor during the Eras Tour has only made it infinitely gayer. Okay, first, let's just start with the basics. The queer lyrics. She's talking about childhood love that she had for someone whose braids are like a pattern. Okay, that is undeniably Sapphic. Love you to the moon and to Saturn, which she's referenced many times since then in Sapphic ways. Passed down like folk songs, the love lasts so long. She's likening their love to folklore, which is what she wrote the whole album about. And I think you should come live with me, and we can be pirates. Pirates. Blatant queer flag. Pirates were extremely gay. You can just look this up. I mean, what do you think a bunch of dudes stuck together on a ship in the middle of the ocean are gonna do? Think about that for a few seconds. Then you won't have to cry or hide in the closet. I feel like she's really hitting us over the head with that one. Like, I don't need to explain that one more. It's just there. That was just the lyrics. Now, let's talk about how amplified the gayness of the song has been, even since it was written. First of all, the way that it is performed on the Eras Tour is probably the most queer performance of any of her songs on the tour, because it's literally performed as the interlude and opening to the Folklore set as spoken word. That is so incredibly queer. Like, I can't think of a gayer way for this song to be performed. It's so like gay yearning. At the end of it, she goes like, passed down like folk songs. The love lasts so long. Just so emo and sapphic, and I don't know, gay love slam poetry. What can I say? They love spoken word. Last but certainly not least, there is the delicious and beautiful fact that the song is featured in a scene of Heartstopper Season 2 that was a sapphic scene. And furthermore, when asked how much cash they had to shell out to get this song on their show, the sound guy basically said, actually, like, she basically just offered to give it to us because she just really, really wanted it to be in that scene. All right, number 6 is maybe one of my most favorite Taylor Swift songs of all time, Daylight. It's so beautiful, and like, I cannot see this song any way other than in a Sapphic way. It's a song about like finally seeing the light of day. She describes what she's feeling in the song as being like she's woken up from a 20-year dark night. And you see that love isn't like you thought it was before. Love isn't black and white. Love isn't even burning red like you thought it was. Love is golden. Love is daylight. She's like describing this love that she's experiencing now as like her first true real love. I just think the idea of like her describing herself as finally waking up from a 20-year dark night is kind of like icky from the perspective of she finally found the right man to solve all the problems in her life. Like for 20 years of her life, she was just, waiting in darkness for the right man to come along and save her from the darkness. I mean, no. 20 years of darkness, 20 years of not feeling understood, 20 years of feeling like there was no light at the end of the tunnel, like you couldn't be seen or see anyone else. And now you're stepping into the daylight. And of course, the song concludes with the iconic, I want to be defined by the things that I love, not the things I hate, not the things that I'm afraid of, the things that haunt me in the middle of the night. I just think that you are what you love. With all that in mind, in addition to the fact that many gaylers think that this was originally planned as a coming out era and that Taylor Swift was planning to come out before the Masters heist happened and kind of like dismantled her plans, and that the album was originally meant to be titled Daylight, but was changed to Lover. It's very interesting that she followed this album that was supposed to be called Daylight with Midnights, talking about the things that do haunt her in the middle of the night. Almost like she had to confront those fears that she was pushed to acknowledge because things didn't go like she had wanted them to go. Let's get a drum roll for number 5. Dancing with Our Hands Tied from the absolute gayest of the gay, Reputation, of course. This song has almost every queer coded messaging that she could put in it. There's no gendered pronouns. The absolute first line of the song, I loved you in secret. She really doesn't hold punches when it comes to these queer songs immediately right from the get-go. It's secret relationship, forbidden love. I loved you in secret. Like, you can't mistake that. My love had been frozen deep blue, but you painted me golden. Connecting with the golden imagery from Daylight that we just talked about. Frozen in a slumber, a 20-year dark night. She hadn't experienced from love what she thought she should be able to experience from love until this person, the secret lover, came along and painted her golden. I could have spent forever with your hands in my pockets, picture of your face in an invisible locket. The word choice of invisible, again, calls to the secrecy of this relationship, the fact that they can't be open and public about it. It has to be hidden. You said there was nothing in the world that could stop it. Even though you assured me there was nothing in the world that could stop it, I still had a feeling we were doomed. And it's heartbreaking thinking about this song as a precursor to False God that we talked about a few songs ago, and how she later chastises and like makes fun of their younger selves for thinking there was nothing in the world that could keep them apart. Even at this point, Taylor had a bad feeling about it, and she still has that anxiety all the way till the bitter end, but she also still has that hope that she can never let go of. She can't let go of their love. We get You Had Turned My Bed into a Sacred Oasis, but people started talking, putting us through our paces. People started to spread rumors, and talk about things that were threatening to their relationship. It was putting them through their paces. I knew there was no one in the world who could take it. I knew that eventually this talk would drive a wedge between us, and I had a bad feeling about it from the start. But, and here it is again, she loves to romanticize these doomed relationships. She is such a masochist. I just hope she has a good therapist. I had a bad feeling, but we were dancing, like, despite all those fears, we were dancing with our hands tied, dancing in a way where we could never be our fullest selves with each other. There was always something holding us back, but we were still dancing, and I still had a bad feeling. I loved you in spite of deep fears that the world would divide us. I don't know how there's a straight way to interpret that. The bridge of this song is one of the most heartbreaking bridges Taylor has ever written, and so incredibly queer and emo. And I think like imagery that she references over and over again as she continues to talk about the failed end of this relationship that was doomed from the start, this forbidden love. I'd kiss you as the lights went out, swing as the room burned down. I'd hold you as the water rushes in if I could dance with you again. She would risk it all. She would give up everything and culminate in her own destruction if she could just dance with this person one more time. If that isn't the most emo gay shit you've ever heard, I don't know what is. Actually, it's not even the most. There's still 4 more songs on this goddamn list. Speaking of, let's move on to number 4. We have a real heavy hitter off of Evermore, a bonus track, and that is Right Where You Goddamn Left Me. Right Where You Left Me. Continuing in her pattern of making it as abundantly clear what the setting of the song is from the very first line, she starts us off with friends break up, friends get married. She's starting us off with a theme that connects friendship with breakups and friendship with marriage. We all know how Carly coded this song is. All right, let's not mince words about it. I think she's completely playing on the fact that their relationship was described in the media as a friendship, but they were actually together and that Carly married someone else. It's about just like feeling like you can't move forward after your partner leaves you, who was supposed to be with you to support you through deep fears that the world was dividing you, like was supposed to support you through this battle that you two have to wage together. The restaurant in this song being a metaphor for the closet and help, I'm still at the restaurant. You stranded me here. You left me here to fend for myself, and now I can't leave. Now I can't leave the closet. I can't leave the restaurant. Time is changing, but I'm not able to change, and I'm not able to move on. This is, of course, the song that has the first infamous hairpin drop lyric. If you don't know what it means to drop hairpins, it is a phrase that refers to the way that queer people subtly leave references to other queer people that they're queer without having to out themselves to the heteronormative society at large. It's queer coding. It's what she does in her songs. And her putting a queer coded lyric about queer coding in her songs is like the most meta queer coding that she could possibly do. And not only did she do that, she also went on to use it again in another song. It was 100% intentional. She goes on to describe her pinned up hair in a way that uses that imagery as representing her closeted self. And dust collects on her pinned up hair after she's left stranded at this restaurant. She can't come out of the closet. She can't be who she wants to be. Her hair isn't able to be let down free. It's pinned up and kept in a cage like she is. Her reference to her deluded self still being 23 in her fantasy and trapped at that age forever is very interesting, considering that's right around when she met Carly Kloss. What a coinky dink. The glass shatter on the white cloth too is also a very Carly coded line because she had a Jewish wedding and that's a tradition at Jewish weddings. Top 3, that's getting real gay. That's like a high honor. Okay, let's do a drum roll. 3 is Maroon. Maroon is so incredibly sapphic. Even casual fans or even non-Swifties can hear and be like, instantly like, oh, this song's probably about a woman. When the morning came, we were cleaning incense off your vinyl shelf. I'm not saying that men don't ever use incense, and I'm not trying to enforce like toxic gender norms here. I'm just saying, like, statistically, I think a greater percentage of women will be likely to use incense than men. That's all. That's all I'm saying. Laughing with my feet in your lap like you were my closest friend. Okay, setting the scene again as another friends to lovers song. I see this song as telling like a montage, the greatest love and heartbreak that Taylor Swift has experienced. It starts at the beginning of their relationship when they're just becoming close and they stay up all night because they just couldn't run out of things to talk about. How'd we end up on the floor anyway? You say your roommate's cheap ass screw top rose. That's how. Also Sapphic coded because cheap ass screw top rose. Again, probably more likely that it's something a girlie's gonna buy. The roommate line is interesting because the way that it's written, if it's talking about someone else being the roommate, I think is a little bit clunky, but I like the interpretation personally that Taylor is kind of like jokingly referring to herself as the roommate, because immediately after that, Taylor says the line, "I see you every day now," which is something that roommates would experience because they live together. And then we move on to, "And I chose you, the one I was dancing with in New York, no shoes." Flashback to barefoot in the kitchen, sacred new beginnings in Cornelia Street. Flashback to dancing with our hands tied on Reputation. So she's establishing that it's this muse that she's talked about before and referenced before. She uses her color theory in this song in a way that I think is really, really genius. She uses all these different words to describe deep shades of red, right? She has wine, scarlet, blood, rust. The word that she finishes on last, after scarlet, is maroon. Those colors are all different shades of red and they don't all really resemble each other necessarily, but maroon is one of the deepest, darkest shades of red. And the fact that this song, Maroon, is number 2 on her album and Red was number 2 on her album Red, I think she's just using her own color theory to refer to the fact that that heartbreak she had written about before in Red, that was red. But this is even deeper. This hits different and it's even deeper than that one. It's maroon. It's the deepest shade of heartbreak I've ever experienced. By the way, Taylor Swift played this song on Carly Kloss's birthday, pretty much confirming in the most Taylor Swift way possible that this song is sapphic and probably about Carly. The song will be forever Taylor coded, and I'm sorry if you don't like it. It is what it is. The second gayest Taylor Swift song, in my opinion, is, drum roll please, Dress from Reputation. And before anyone comes in the comments like, "What about the buzz cut?" and I will get to that, but respectfully, that is one line on a song that is one of the most gayest queer-coded songs I've ever heard in my life. Again, setting the scene right off the bat. Our secret moments in your crowded room. They got no idea about me and you. This secret relationship hiding in plain sight in a crowded room, our moments are still secret and just between us. They have no idea about them. There is an indentation in the shape of you, major mark on me, a golden tattoo, again with the golden imagery that we've talked about. All of this silence and patience, pining in anticipation. They can't always be together. They can't always touch. Their love is forbidden. Pining, it's such a queer theme, and I love how she uses it in this song to describe like her trembling hands that are literally shaking from having to hold back from this person, because again, there's this theme of something being in between them, like an artificial block between them, and then there's this gravity that's still trying to pull them into each other. Say my name and everything just stops. I don't want you like a best friend. So not just friends to lovers. We have a best friend. Best friend. Who was her best friend at this time? Was Taylor Swift ever best friends with a man? Only bought this dress so you could take it off. I mean, dress. Dress being imagery associated with femininity and women, first of all, and that's what she names the song after. Bought this dress so you could take it off. Well, is the dress for Taylor or is the dress for her muse? It's one of those lines that could operate just as easily in both directions. It's a double meaning. Perfect. We love that. Inescapable. I'm not even gonna try. And if I get burned, at least we were electrified. Doomed love that has that gravity. She can't escape it. Even though she knows she probably should, she's not gonna try because she knows it's hopeless. Okay, let's address the line. Flashback when you met me, your buzz cut and my hair bleached. When she sings this line, she emphasizes met. Flashback when you met me. And I think that's quite interesting because you know who she met up with at the Met Gala that same year? Karlie Kloss. She was hanging out with her the whole night. Karlie Kloss, who wore a long dress that Brandon Maxwell, her designer, snipped off the bottom of after the Met Gala because I think it got wine splashed on it. There was tons of articles written about it. It generated a lot of buzz. That line could be a red herring, but it also like functions just as well in, I think, sort of a cheeky way where she's kind of like making a play on words and still talking about what she's actually talking about. Because what's that line actually followed by? Even in my worst times, you could see the best of me. Flashback to my mistakes, my rebounds, my earthquakes. Even in my worst lies, you saw the truth in me. First of all, she's acknowledging that she's lied, like a lot, in some bad ways. And that this person, the muse of this song, which was written at best at the very start of her relationship with Joe, the muse of this song has been with her through hard times, through rebounds and mistakes. The muse of this song has seen her at her worst and stuck by her. That doesn't sound like someone you're just starting a relationship with, and kind of sounds like someone like a best friend who sticks by your side through thick and through thin. Interesting that best friend is also in a lyric in this song, isn't it? Isn't it interesting? Isn't it interesting? Also, finally, and in conclusion, when Taylor Swift performed this song on the Reputation Stadium tour, the lights were giving the Bi Pride colors, and Karlie Kloss was personally escorted toward where the front of the stage was so that she could get a personal performance of Dress. It was beautiful and gay. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend checking it out. Alrighty, friends, we have finally made it to the number 1 slot. It has been such a blast hanging out with y'all through this journey of Now That's What I Call Gay, Taylor Swift's top 20 gayest songs. We've got to finish it off with what I believe to be her gayest song to date. You might be guessing what it is based on what I haven't covered yet, and I've given a few nudges and winks here and there. And that would be none other than Hits Different, a bonus track released on Midnights months after its initial release date. It was definitely buried because of how incredibly sapphic it is. This is the song, in my opinion, that we get the most clear reference to a female muse. The song is also so Carly coded, it's not even funny. I pictured you with other girls in love, then threw up on the street. When I first heard that lyric hit different to me too, because nothing made me want to literally hurl more when I was first starting to come to terms with my queerness than picturing a girl that I liked at the time being openly queer for another girl and not me. Because there's just the extra layer to it. It's not just picturing you with someone else and I'm jealous. It's picturing you like bearing your soul to society for someone else when you wouldn't do that for me. That hits different. Catastrophic Blues, Moving On was always easy for me to do. It hits different. It hits different because it's you. And also hits different because this is a sapphic heartbreak. And every gay girly will tell you, especially if they had a lot of compat that they were dealing with, which I suspect Taylor did personally, and had attempted to be in relationships with men before and just never really felt that true heartbreak that you're feeling for the first time with your first sapphic love. Moving On was always easy for me to do, and I deeply relate to that lyric as a late bloomer lesbian who just like would feel like there was something broken in me when I felt this like attraction to a man suddenly switch off. Like it just turned off, and I felt like I would never truly find love. I felt callous and like just cold for being able to move on so quickly. Right after that, she says, I used to switch out these Kens. I just ghost. Like these Kens. This song came out before Barbie. Like these Kens, she's talking about all of men. And the muse of this song is not a man. These is doing so much work in that sentence. If she had said like, I used to switch out all those Kens, it like distances those Kens from the muse, meaning like I think that the muse could be a man more easily in that interpretation. She says these Ken, like these Kens that are all around us, and you're not one of them. You're not a Ken, you're a Barbie. Freedom felt like summer then on the coast. I mean, Big Sur, if you don't know about the Big Sur lore, I'll cover it at some point, but that's very Kaler coded. And so is now the sun burns my heart and the sand hurts my feelings. I slur your name till someone puts me in a car. When Carly has said that her friends call her car. You can imagine Taylor slurring car over and over again until someone just gives her what they think she's asking for. But it's not really what she was saying after all. Okay. And then finally, the bridge that is the gayest bridge of all gay bridges, the bridge that gives us the glory of an explicit female muse. And if you don't agree, you don't understand grammar. And here's why. Dreams of your hair and your stare and sense of belief. It doesn't even matter that all three of those details are extremely Carly coded. It's the fact that she says she's dreaming of this muse and their hair and stare and sense of belief, and she felt them and held them for a while. Bet I could still melt your world. Argumentative, antithetical dream girl. There's no way that that line is referring to Taylor herself, because argumentative and antithetical and dream are all adjectives used to describe the girl that this line is referring to. If all of those adjectives that are extraneous, right, were removed, the line would just read, bet I could still melt your world, girl. So, I mean, it's pretty obvious she's talking to someone else, right? Something that makes this even more obvious is the fact that she describes this person as a dream girl when just a few lines ago she was talking about dreaming of this person's hair and stare. The muse of her dreams is the dream girl, and so her muse is a girl. Okay? You got it? Good. Argumentative, antithetical is the complete opposite of pathological people pleaser, which is how Taylor describes herself in You're Losing Me. So how would she be describing herself as both things? It doesn't make sense. I heard your key turn in the door down the hallway. Is that your key in the door? Is it okay? Is it you? Or have they come to take me away? Evokes so much imagery of like queerness being something that can get you locked away, something that can get people to call you crazy, something that can actually be certified as insane by our society that wants to other us and punish us for just being ourselves. Okay, well, we finally made it through 20 of Taylor Swift's gayest songs. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments, and definitely let me know if you want me to do another ranking that uses that statistical analysis method I talked about at the beginning of this video. Stay tuned for my next video, which is going to be a complete breakdown of all the songs on Midnights, a full deep dive, along with some really necessary lore that I think will be helpful in analyzing those songs. Catch you later!